watching Sunday Sound Off with Frank Boal.
Welcome back to Sunday Sound Off. Our first hot topic of the night. The Big 12 sent 7 teams to the NCAAs. 3 make it through the Sweet 16. Is that good enough for the #1 rated power conference? TJ?
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. We're midway through the tournament, so this will be kind of a midterm grade. I would say that so far so good. Now, if they all lose in the Sweet 16 and there's nobody in the Elite 8, then not so good. So obviously we're not through it yet. But I'll say this tournament has a way of humbling teams. So don't count your chickens before they hatch. I would say that's all Big 12 fans. But I would also say this: just because the SEC has a better record than the Big 12 over the last 10 years in this tournament doesn't mean they're a good basketball conference. So I don't think that because the Big 12 sometimes has struggled in this tournament that they're a bad basketball conference. Obviously this is for individual teams, and ultimately you're gonna see who wins this thing. I think Kansas, being the standard bearer for the conference, is big, and if they can win the national championship, that's good for the conference. So I would say let's wait until the end of this thing to truly figure it out. But once again, this tournament is not about determining who the best team or best conference is. It's about determining a winner. That's what single elimination tournament play is.
Well, the SEC needed a miracle to still have 1 team in. Blair, what do you think?
It's an incomplete grade. It was a terrible first round for the Big 12. You had West Virginia losing big. You had Baylor embarrassing itself with the players squabbling in the huddle. You had Texas unlucky, losing on a half-court shot at the end. But they picked it up in the second round with Oklahoma, Iowa State, and Kansas moving on. It's the first time since 2009 that the Big 12 will have 3 teams in the Sweet 16. It pales in comparison to the ACC, which has pushed 6 into the Sweet 16. That's pretty amazing. But incomplete grade with a chance for the Big 12 to have a really good run.
Seren, somebody probably has to at least make the Final Four or win the championship.
Look,
right?
the Big 12 needs what it's needed for a long time. Somebody not named Kansas to go to the Final Four. It's going to be great if Kansas goes. They're the #1 team in the country coming into this. They're supposed to go deep into the tournament. Oklahoma, Iowa State, and Kansas were all 3 in the top 10 before the season started. They're living up to their preseason hype now. Maybe Iowa State didn't during the regular season. Maybe Oklahoma hit a dry patch coming down the stretch there, but they're now where they're supposed to be. I think if they get 2 into the Elite 8 and 1 into the Final Four, then it'll be a good show of it. I mean, the ACC is the best basketball league. They've got 100 schools. They ought to be the best. They put it together for basketball. So it really is the best basketball league, and I think it's showing that now. But for the Big 12 to be, for this to be a good run, they need to get somebody into the Final Four and a couple into the Elite 8.
All right, here's our second hot topic of the evening. Brad Underwood from McPherson, Kansas, and a graduate of K-State, is going to get a big job here. K-State and Mizzou, of course, on the outside looking in here. They still have coaches they probably shouldn't. Where does he land? And Oklahoma State is interested in him. Blair, what do you think here?
Tell you what, this is the classic example of perhaps being haunted by the move you don't make. And the move Kansas State is not going to make is fire Bruce Weber and hire Brad Underwood. It probably shouldn't happen, but it would be a bold move if the athletic director, John Curry, decided to make this particular maneuver: fire Bruce Weber, hire Brad Underwood. Brad Underwood is one of the hottest properties right now. His Stephen F. Austin team just was eliminated by Notre Dame and played great in the NCAA tournament. He's not only a K-State grad, played for Jack Hartman, and is from McPherson, Frank, as you said. He went to junior college and coached in the Kansas junior college ranks. He is Kansas through and through. He is almost tailor-made to be a head basketball coach at Kansas State. He's going to end up at Oklahoma State, I believe.
Wow. And his Stephen F. Austin teams run through their conference undefeated 2 straight years. He's been incredible. Seren?
Let's, #1, pump the brakes a little bit on Underwood. Look, I like Underwood a lot. I had him on the program last year from down at the Final Four. He's a very engaging guy. He's got all the reasons in the world. K-State wanted to hire him right now. They should. In fact, they should hire him right now. Bruce Weber's not going to work out in the long run. I think everybody knew this when the hire was made, except for apparently John Curry. I think all of the K-State fan base, other than the just blindly loyal fans, are aware of this fact. And so they're going to miss an opportunity to have a home run hire where they win the press conference. But Brad Underwood is winning. His top 3 scorers are seniors. 4 of his top 6 are seniors that he did not sign. So it's still out on whether or not he can find the talent. He can coach the talent. We know that. We still don't know if he can find the talent. We're going to find out at the next job.
TJ.
Yeah, I agree with Soren. Absolutely. That's what K-State should do. That doesn't look like there's a future with Bruce Weber. But also, yeah, pump the brakes a little bit on Brad Underwood. He's done very, very good. But Oklahoma State looks like a possible landing spot. But it also sounds like Oklahoma State could be shooting a little bit higher with other candidates like Andy Enfield, who's been at USC for a little while now, Buzz Williams, who's been a little while at Virginia Tech, and even Doug Gottlieb, who's never coached before. So it looks like they could have their sights set on somebody else. Brad Underwood could be available this time next year, but Kansas State, I don't understand why athletic directors make these declarations that they need to commit to a guy before the tournament's over with. This happens every single year where some coach, some hot name comes up. I do think Kansas State and Missouri, too, should maybe reconsider where they're at right now with their current coaches.
All right, and our final hot topic, and it is hot. White Sox star Adam LaRoche walks away from the game in $71 million because the White Sox want him to cut back on the number of days he brings his 14-year-old son to work. Soren, where do you fall on bringing your kid to work day?
Well, I think it's a day. That's where I fall on it. I think it's one day. It's a great day. It's a wonderful thing we have going in this country, but it's one day, and that's all it should be. Look, but the culture of every sport is different. Part of the culture of baseball is you bring your kid in. It's been going on in ballparks forever. You have to have a plan for it. Now, it seems like they had an agreement on Adam LaRoche's kid was going to be there. He was going to be hanging around, Drake LaRoche. And then they decided, that's not really working, and they wanted to cut him back. Look, I respect the White Sox saying the kid's around too much. And you know this didn't come just from the organization. You know it was a teammate or a coach that's saying, hey, look, the kid's getting in the way. Likewise, I respect LaRoche saying, if I can't have my son around, I'm going to walk away. You walk away from $13 million. That's really standing by your principle. However, he made a commitment to this organization and to his teammates that he would be there this year. And to walk away right now is letting them down. It's a complicated situation. At the end of the day, he's let his teammates down. You appreciate his relationship with his son, but very disappointing, I think, if you're a White Sox fan, that he went all the way up to this point and now walks away.
TJ, I'm going to skip past you because since you're single. Blair, go ahead. And don't have any kids. Go ahead.
You know what? We've all been in the clubhouse, major league clubhouses, and we see kids in there. We see the players' children. 4-year-olds are okay in a clubhouse. 24-year-olds are okay in a clubhouse. 14-year-olds in a constant presence in the clubhouse, I don't think so. And some White Sox players did complain to Kenny Williams, the front office official, and Williams probably misspoke a time or two, in presenting it to Adam LaRoche and by trying to assign blame to this thing. But the bottom line is, a 14-year-old with a constant presence inside a major league clubhouse, no reason for that. It should not happen, and it's not going to happen. So the right result has occurred. There's not going to be a 14-year-old in the clubhouse. Adam LaRoche should still be in the clubhouse, but not his son.
All right, TJ, we'll start with you next, okay? So up next, we're going to get some final thoughts. Start with TJ. Don't feel bad for him. It's their time to sound off on anything that's on their minds. You're watching Sunday Sound Off.